It's a very
we're spinning a yarn here.
This is in medias res.
Medias res.
So yeah, and so you take that grandfather's glove and the Powerade bottle or whatever, and you're just kind of like, okay, so he was ready to go.
He's ready.
Okay, so I was ready to take off. We're giving each other our celebratory high fives and all this shit, right? Mm-hmm. And so he gets this phone call. Mm-hmm. He gets this phone call, and I didn't ask him what it was about, right? Because it was clear that he was distressed. But what I can tell you is, after about 3 minutes of being very low, very sad, he comes over to me with this hangdog look and he says, I can't go tomorrow.
Right.
It's like, I don't want to leave you hanging, bro. Is there anybody else that you can get to go?
I got just the person.
Okay.
She will be honored to take your ticket.
I say, okay, you tell her to have a good time for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I'll have her do a little write up for you afterwards.
Okay. All right.
So it'll almost be like you were there. Anyway, I'm Pat.
Hey, I'm Jeffrey. Bro, I don't. This is not a knock against your kid. This is a knock against her generation. I don't want to read any of their writing.
Yeah. She actually has been doing quite a bit. So, and when I was her age, I used to write short stories too. So, but out of respect, so I have not snooped on those. So
no, of course not. But I find that people of her generation have difficulties, severe difficulties.
You ought to see some of the emails that I get from my students, and they're quite a bit older than she is.
Well, all right.
It's horrendous. So it's like everything is in text speak. So
there is that.
There's like no punctuation.
There is that, and they have no idea what the punctuation is actually for.
Right. Or like, let alone determining between what to capitalize in a sentence.
Oh, you just guess.
Yeah. Well, you capitalize the words that are important to you. So, yeah.
Right, well, I mean, it's about how you feel about those words.
Right.
And the thing is, you get 2 per sentence.
Yeah.
Right? You get 2 per sentence. It's really up to you. So you start the first one. That's easy. Right?
Oh, often not, but yeah.
But the second one is really subjective.
Right, yeah. No delineation of uncommon and proper nouns whatsoever.
No,
Patrick,
I'm sorry.
In fact, pronouns are usually capitalized.
That's a weird one. Someone got capitalized and. What's so special about this conjunction, bro? Now, that being said, a lot of that has to do with... Yes. I don't think they're being asked to write as much as we were back in the day.
By hand, no. That's for sure.
No.
I don't know. Like I don't know. William would be better when I asked about this because he's a little bit more hawkish when it comes to his children's homework. So I am very hands-off, and that's my daughter got an F in math. So.
No, I've seen your household. Your daughter constantly is running into your den where you're working on your fucking Grail diary.
Get out.
You just...
Yes. May he who illuminated this. Junior.
But it's not. You're playing with very little warships. So
I'm playing with little warships or witching on The Witcher. Yeah, so yeah, I know. Get out. I wish I had those like pocket doors that close.
We all do. I mean that's well, it's a very specific kind of house where you have to run through like the entire prairie before you get to it.
Right.
Then,
yeah. Which made me wonder, like, how did East Coast academics wind up in fucking Utah? So I'm sure there's some lore there that I'm not aware of. But
that's a good point.
But it kind of seemed like a really podunk place to have an Ivy League college. So,
well, he's the one that they don't want to get.
Right. Yeah.
Where was it implied that? Okay, so I know in the first one, I know that Indy was in Chicago.
No, he's in the same college in both.
Well,
It had a fake name, but it was implied that it was basically like Yale or Princeton. So
well, I only know that because the whole he spent time in Chicago, learning because that's where he met Marion.
oh right, yeah.
So I think he was.
Yeah, I think you're
he
right,
was.
yeah.
I think he was studying there.
Yeah, you
or-
might. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
I
because
can't
yeah,
remember,
that was
but-
part of her backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was,
Ravenwood.
yeah.
Abner's dead. So
Right, right, and I. Yeah, and were they implying that he was like he was like Abner's like understudy or?
yeah.
or, okay.
Well, he was his doctoral advisor or
all right,
something like
all
that.
right.
Yeah. So that's how they used to do it back then. So.
So he was like a squire.
Yeah, exactly. So almost exactly, yes. And then eventually you wrote your own paper.
Right.
So and that guy
Right.
said, "Good job. Now you're a doctor." So
All right.
there you go, buddy.
Okay.
So yeah.
And then that's when he struck out on his own.
But I was a child. Yeah. So
Yeah, but
you're not supposed to sleep with the students, Jeff.
it wasn't his student.
I don't know.
It wasn't implied that he was an instructor at that time.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
But what I can say is,
Up until like the 70s or 80s, that was kind of like just normal, though.
I would say it was on the edge of normal. I'd say like you knew maybe a guy where you're like, so like your group of friends had a friend where you'd
Right.
say, well, yeah, but he wasn't from here, and Olaf met Tabby when she was 14,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So they had some history.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But it wasn't. Oh,
that's very specific.
I'm putting them.
Yeah.
I'm putting them in a very specific.
Yeah.
Where again, in that part of the country, there were regional customs where they'd be like, yeah, but everybody around here did that, right? And I would imagine certain part of the Appalachians were in that same.
Like apparently Cambridge and Oxford were famous for it. So that and gay sex parties. So yeah, because if you were like that countryside, English bumpkin who lived in a fucking castle,
Right.
and then went to go study at Cambridge and Oxford. So there was a little bit of a man play going on.
There's a
from time to
little
time.
bit of hedonism pot going on there.
Yes, yeah, more chocolate syrup, please.
Yeah. Where just regular delights aren't doing it anymore.
Right, yeah. You gotta
Yeah.
have extra special English
Yeah.
upper crust delights. So
Like, I'm not into it unless they're not
which
into it.
include butt sex.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So I don't know where I read that too, man. It had something to do with Tolkien, actually.
I imagine he would speak out against it.
I don't know. I can't remember what it was that I read at one point in time, but it was something that, like, he was a little bit of an outcast because he chose not to partake in, the other reindeer games. So, yeah.
Well, there is a version of that where you can just like turn your head the other way, or I heard an argument once where it came down to they were discussing prison sex, basically, right?
Oh, man.
What?
Bro, there's
Like you went through this recently?
it's been an ongoing journey for like a year, just watching these prison channels. And,
Oh.
yeah. And it's like I have such my fear of prison is up there with sharks in open water now, man. So
Why?
because of that. So, yeah, that is a fucking thing. No matter what prison you go to in the United States, apparently. So, and and it's one of those things where, you might find a place that's cool. So, but like, there's certain states where it is decidedly just absolutely, eat or be eaten, kind of thing. So, yeah, like California being one. So,
Right.
you do not want to go to jail in California. So, from what I hear. So, and then the same thing's true with like Kentucky and places like that. Yeah.
There are some hard. I know you're right. I know there's a couple of places where you wouldn't expect it, but that's where it's the hardest.
Yeah, but then like other places, like this guy, I saw this whole, and he bounced around the Texas system for a while. He's like, oh, Texas is a fucking, it's a hotel compared to like other places that I've been to jail. So it's like it's just because there are so many prisons. So if you fuck around in one, you get busted and sent to another. So and you never see those guys again. So
And then they'll always tell you about the horror stories of like some place you've never heard of in Illinois.
exactly,
And it was like,
yeah.
this is the place you don't want to go.
You don't want to go, yeah. So anyway, I didn't mean to derail you there, but this is something that I actually have been fascinated by, just like prison life and prison cooking for some reason. So
Well, okay, so listen, I've had kind of a secret love affair of that ever since I saw fucking, Paulie slicing the garlic with a
garlic with a
blade.
razor, yeah. Which
But
apparently works. I've heard that actually is a good method. So if you have that much time to do it.
so but that's the thing. There's other ways to do it. I mean, but so the thing that they were talking about is when it comes to prison sex, where they're like, the joke was that the Italians say you do what you got to do in prison, right?
Right.
And then you just don't talk about it. They've argued that there are guys that are so straight
Yeah.
that they can have gay sex and it not be homosexual.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I do not know how to process that.
It's you just don't talk about it, man. So when you're in, and things that are okay when you're in are just things you never ever discuss again.
So these are just the server rules when you walk into here. So you go in,
just on Discord.
you walk in. It's basically all right. So gravity set to half.
Yeah, unlimited pineapples. Yeah,
So like
server rules.
So whenever you come out, all right, you understand. It's like, all right, well, this is full gravity.
Right.
These are taxes. These are
Right.
The economy is not. Well, talk to that guy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me your commissary.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. No, this is a guy that I watched. And he was in federal prison for 10 years. He's kind of a neat guy. So I mean, but he's straight up about it. He's like, my experience was different because I'm 6'6" and built like a truck. So
Right.
Oh yeah. So, but he'll sit there and he'll talk about some of the other guys. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have a rough time.
I know. So I don't. It's a unique thing to think about. I don't. Again, I think that is something that is part of our culture.
Well, and then you see like some of the foreign prisons. So, and they are like fucking hotels. So, and it's crazy. You got your own room, you got, a TV, you got a dresser, you guys all eat, when you want, it's like, wow, yeah. And then you look at Americans' prisons and like, it's like, wow, this is horrifying. So I actually went to one once when I was teaching for the community college. And the first thing you notice, it stinks.
Stinks.
Yeah, it smells like the ape
lot,
house, man. Yeah. It fucking stinks. It just reeks. The air is thick. So, yeah.
Well, it's going to. I mean, there's no two ways around it. I mean, I understand that they actually go through efforts to keep it clean.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
And that's part of the detail, but it's just it's guys. It's guys that they're look. You and I both know this. Where if there were I gotta say this. All right. So if there were like a medication or something, right, where you could basically adjust, right? If you could basically take this pill and just say like, no, guys, you don't understand. It's like, this is going to set your life straight. Okay. I know you're not going to like this, but you have to start taking this medication from 16 to 23, right? And what this is going to do is it's going to turn off, right, the part of your brain that makes you do the stupidest things when you're at your most powerful.
Yeah.
Right? And if you do this, the rest of your life will be straight. If that 16 to like 23 contingent of guys were able to straighten out their lives in that period, like, what is it, like 70% of crime wouldn't happen because it all happens in
demographic
at that time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, most crime. So, and it's the worst time to commit a crime too, man, because you get out and you're like 30 now.
Yeah.
So you got nothing behind you. Man, over the years, I've seen so many people struggle with that. Like, I've had old men get out of prison, and they're fine. They're like Brooks, without the
Well,
hanging
Brooks
part.
wasn't fine.
No, he wasn't fine, but like it's kind of like, all right, I ain't ever fucking doing any of that shit again, kind of thing.
Oh, you're talking about the guys who was like, oh yeah, I did it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they're
Yeah.
just like, no, man, I spent enough time. I'm good.
These are guys, yeah, they'll tell you it's like, well, this is why you don't steal a car.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll tell that story and open with that.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they'll start out with, and this is why I was dumb about it. This is how I got caught.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But then I've had other guys come out, and then you watch them struggle, and it's like, well, I know how to sling dope, so
Right.
let me get back into that fucking game. So, and I've actually had a few students over the years recidivize, so I go back in.
No, I gotcha, man. And
I
it
actually
is,
got a letter from one once.
Did you?
Yeah. So he was like, he said, "I'm sorry, man." It's like, it's not me you have to apologize to, bro.
Right. I'm here. Yeah.
I'm out here.
still working.
Yes, I still work. Yeah.
No, it's a rough one. Like, and you're right. You do see like those Nordic countries, and you see that essentially it's not even an econo suites. It's like a
Well, in England, it was like that too, man. I saw this one on English prisons, and it was amazing. So it was like, yeah, I've been in hotels that were worse than that.
yeah.
I mean, you can't leave, so okay, there's that. So, but I mean, all the guards are fat. So, this wasn't the kind of place where you had to fight in the yard in order to actually eat.
I don't know. Look, I don't know if England just has some like residual guilt for what's written in their books about how they used to treat prisoners.
Oh yeah, well, they just kill you.
Well, not just kill you, but I mean when it comes down to look at our architecture, look at our towers, look at these things. Like,
Oh, okay,
let's talk about what happened here, right?
Right.
So, now granted, the entire era was doing this, stupid shit, but I don't know. When you think about medieval torture, for some reason, it goes straight to England.
Oh, I always think Spain, man. So that's where they invented all that
Okay,
shit.
all right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, you're not wrong. So, I mean, the oublet wasn't just used in France. So, yeah. But, yeah, but then, later, England was just, this country that was famous for, you steal a loaf of bread, hang him. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you turn left on right, or you turn right on a red, hang you. I guess it is left there.
Yeah.
So, it was crazy. So, all the offenses that you could be just killed for summarily by a local court. So, no appeals.
Yeah, the very concept of the king's deer is
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yes, hang him now. So,
and that's a serious offense too. It
Yeah.
was like, well, I don't see him.
Well, yeah. Well, no, and they hang you right there and hang your body up, and you stay there until the crows peck you dry.
Yeah.
So, and that's because everybody else gets to see what you did. So, oh man, come on. Oh, dude, we live in the best of times.
we do. We do. Look, and I have read horror stories about Japanese prisons.
I've heard those. I've heard it's all about penitence. So
It's weird, and
Yeah.
they do that fucking Klingon torture where, no, I shit you not, where it's the thing where, they joke about it and say well, your sentence is death. The punishment is that we don't tell you, right? So you're just gonna wait, and you don't know if it's the day, and eventually.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. So evidently there's a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of sleep deprivation, things like this.
I have heard that the lights are on 24/7.
Yeah, there's a lot of hold this posture for X amount of time and weird things like this. I'm like, I don't know, man. So it's hard for me to draw a straight line and say, all right, well, it is like this because of this. That is false. That's faulty reasoning, right? Now, I know for me that there's a version of this that would say, I mean, I could do anything to get in, a fucking Japanese prison. Are you fucking nuts?
Yeah.
Right? But I can't say if for the rest of the population where they see it as, well, this sucks, I'll do anything to stay out of here. I can't say that. I can't say that that's the deterrent.
Yeah. Well, Japan is a lot safer than the United States.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. So, I mean, they still have violent crime there, though. So
They do, but a lot of it is like pussy violent crime.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
now, again, this is the sort of thing that you say, what is the trade-off? Could we have that here? The answer is yes, right? Yeah. But what are we willing to exchange in order to get that? And the answer would be a lot. A lot of the things that we consider crucial to the American experience in terms of like due process and things
you
like
would
that.
give up a lot of their court system is completely backwards with the presumption of guiltiness. So and then you beg for innocence.
No, you beg for forgiveness.
Forgiveness, yeah. Because the cops don't make mistakes. I remember reading about that once. Yeah, their arrest rate is like 99.9%. People are like, why can't we have that? It's like, because they make it up. So they have a close enough to the bad guy kind of, mentality. So here it's absolutely the opposite. It's like better the 1,000 murderers go free than one innocent be spend a day in jail. Yeah. So which makes it difficult, but it also makes it somewhat tolerable too, man. So, because, I mean, there's stories all the time about people get exonerated decades later.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Which is exactly my point. So when you say, what is the trade-off for this kind of thing, that's the kind of thing that we couldn't exchange.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now could the prison system be a little bit more like... I don't know. See, the problem is it goes back to that mental institute thing, man. That's like 90% of your problem there. You'd have like actual prison going back to being the way that it was in Shawshank if you actually didn't have all these lunatics in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree that there's a big distinction in that here. It's so the thing that I saw today, this Patrick, I'm not outraged about this. I don't live there. I don't care. It's not my money. But the homeless high-rise in Los Angeles, I believe it was completed today, or at least this is the first I read of it.
What is the homeless high-rise?
It's basically a homeless shelter that's built like a high-rise. That's exactly what it is.
It's not an old hotel. It's a new build?
New build.
Oh, weird. Fucking stupid industrial, complex. Anyway.
Well, so, all right. So, the cost was ultimately like $600,000 per unit.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
All right, now it's not the cost that gets to me here. It's like, all right, so let's get into what the real difficulties are, right? So just like you talked about, homelessness is not just a people don't have money thing, right? No. As a matter of fact, those people in that situation, what normally happens to them?
They're homeless for a couple weeks, if maybe a couple months at most. They actually take advantage of the thick layers of services that are available out there, especially in a city like LA.
Yeah.
And the program works for them. So, I mean, the same thing's true here. I mean, you show up at the homeless shelter, they're like, yes, as long as you don't have any drugs and you don't bring any pets with you, you can stay here until you find a job. So.
All right. So what is the problem then with that homeless high-rise? What is it that...
Oh, they're not going to do that. California doesn't do any of that drug enforcement, stuff. They've tried in a lot of places, but this is what wrecks San Francisco. So there's a couple of cities in California that do it that way. So I say no. So, but then, they exhaust the services in those cities and they go to San Francisco and LA. Yeah. So, or they go up to Portland. So, where they get the exact same treatment. So, it's just colder there.
Yes, it is. But yeah, so that was the thing that I was looking at was, they're talking about, all right, well, this is going to help people by providing, places for them to live. It's like, no, it's not. And that place is going to get trashed.
It's good. Oh, dude, can you imagine being on maintenance crew in that motherfucker?
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either.
I'm going to get stabbed for something stupid.
I'm going to get stabbed for something stupid. I'm going to get attacked by somebody's fucking dog. So, I'm going to get assaulted by some crackhead in fentanyl guy now in the hall. The elevator's constantly going to be full of shit. So it's just there's
every stairwell is going to have fucking drugs in it, and dudes fucking it's like and this is again, this is the part of this where the reason a lot of these guys are self-medicating is because of mental illness.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because the alternative is like, well, if it's drugs, then well, fuck it, you guys belong in prison. We're gonna dry you out, and
some will voluntarily like to go to the county tank, so they'll commit crimes. They'll rob a store or something like that, and when the cops actually do show up, it's not just shoplifting.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, take me down to county. So they dry out in county for 4 or 5 days. So
yeah, and
do that all the time.
That's the tough part is. You set up something like this with the best of intentions, and I agree that's what this is. But at the same time, it's like you're not going to solve anything, and it comes down to like we really need to do a better job of sorting out the.
I'm not sold on the best of intentions anymore, man.
Well,
so,
okay.
I mean, there's like I am starting to become very suspicious of not all, but some nonprofit organizations.
I am not going to fight you on that. No, I agree.
That are kind of like, wait a minute, you pulled in how much money? And what did you do? Oh, wait, it's you're a 501c3.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you can determine your own salaries. And, it's like, oh, well, we need good talent around here. And I was like, really? Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, the Catholic Church did just fine for many years, basically living off whatever came into the fucking the money bin.
It's the poor box.
It's the poor box. I'm gonna give it to poor old Prince John. Yeah, so and that's what it kind of is. Like, well, who's Prince John around here? Huh? So
no, I agree. No, you're right. I mean the.
Like, I'm sure there's some that do a great job. So I think there's a lot of people who like they have this ick factor when it comes to working in for-profit sector, and so they go in a non-profit sector and then turn it into a for-profit with a non-profit coat of paint on it. And so and I'm a little bit I've worked with a couple of them that are good, and I've worked with a couple of them that was kind of sus. It was like, oh, so you're doling out money to your friends. Got it.
Yeah.
So and then you go and you go around and you pass around the collection plate at your local convention center. So, and, so I was like, oh, you can get this as a tax write-off. It's like, well, you use it for food.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Some of them are a little sus. It's just people who just would not actually make it in the corporate world. So,
No, but they've got an angle. They've got, as the details about, say, I don't know, Black Lives Matter came out.
That one is horrifyingly bad. So, and there are people who have much, much darker skin than I who are very, very mad about that. So,
okay, I got you there. I don't think, look, I think everybody has the right to be upset with that, especially when you say your entire business was grifting off of white guilt. That's exactly what you did.
Well, and then they did. That's fine on a certain level as long as you use that money to not buy a house with a fucking helipad.
Well, you are. Okay, I'm not. Yes, Matt, of course. Look, the other thing is, yes, in your. You have to have, and I've said this before, you have to have a definition of when Black Lives actually matter. You have to have you have to have a defined level of success.
I'm not even going there, man. I mean, you'd have to be able to demonstrate that your money actually did something. So
I agree.
I don't think it needs to be uniform across the board. It's like, well, we saved X number of like white guilt and applied it to X number of black suffering. Okay. It's more like, well, what did you do with this money? Did you set up any schools? Did you set up any, how many soup kitchens did this set up? Did you set up defense funds for individuals who, like have to, rely on shitty, public defenders in bad neighborhoods? What did you do with it? No, I bought a fucking house with a helipad and 4 more to go with it.
They bought a house with a helipad and they spoke and did things at certain schools.
Right.
They didn't set up programs. They just spoke at these places.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
No, I saw that. They call that contact, community contact. How much social impact?
I hate how much of the inside
stuff.
lingo you know of this. Man.
I know a lot of it, man. I know a lot of it. So yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I agree. The some of the numbers that are coming out now, of course, the like the Biden infrastructure stuff, where they're talking about, all right, well, so you $45 billion to set up this rural internet plan. Nobody is using it.
No.
It hasn't even been set up.
I'm not upset about the infrastructure. They got us new highways here, man. So I'm not too mad about that one.
And they were talking about like, all right, so you took this much for electric vehicles. You've built 7 stations total.
That's turned out to be a little bit of a
lot of fucking. There's a lot of like graft going on, man. I'm not in love with it.
I don't mind it because at least, like, okay, so if there's 7 built stations that got built, all right, that was built by Americans, cool. So I know my highways that were redone here because they did that whole, like, that paid for a big chunk of that GAP project. So it's like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. So is there graft in it? Sure, I'm sure there is. Is it all graft? No. Is it half graft? Maybe.
Well, I mean, that is something we actually do know, where in terms of like graft, it's never going to be non-zero, and
Nope.
in the United States it is substantially better than any other developed country.
It's true.
Any other developed country.
We can still build some things here. Unlike other countries where you can build nothing.
It's not just build nothing. It's the arbitrary. It's like, I swear to God, they're like making up permits. Like, they're like, no, actually, just go bribe this guy. We're not even going to pretend. Just go bribe this guy.
Oh, yeah, well, some of them are that bad, but then, it's like I watched that whole thing that was a takedown in England. That was just like, oh my God, you guys are fucked. So, yeah, because like any local alderman can, like put a stop and a freeze on a project. Even if it's like really badly. They were talking about how there's like parts of England that are running out of water. I'm like, it fucking rains there like what, 9 months out of the year? It's like, well, you can't get reservoirs built. It's like, what? It's a fucking ditch. You dig a hole in the ground, and here it fills up on its own, So it was nuts, man. But then, yeah, I mean, there's parts of the United States that are kind of like that too, man. But then, like, I don't know, just going back east a little bit, looking at some of the things out there. I mean, you can see that they figure out ways to make things work if they need it. So, and it's kind of like, yeah, this is the most fucked up subway station I've ever been to.
There is some bullshit. There is.
But you know what? Fucking the trains go where they need to go. That's pretty cool, So.
Yeah, there is some bullshit. There is some. I mean, you will find them. You'll find those. You'll find those buildings where you'll see. All right. So what we wanted to do was build 2 towers in this lot, but they would connect. But we can't because it still has these 2 holdouts.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
it goes up and it connects, over. And you're like, all right, okay, that's creative.
Yeah, there's one in New York that's like that I saw a while back.
It's like tilted weird.
It is. It's weird. It's like super duper engineering to go over like grandma's house.
Yes. And this is the other thing I will say about to America's credit is, unlike a lot of buildings around the world, if the event of a calamity happens, ours will still be standing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw that out there, right?
That's even true in California, man. They over-engineer older buildings out there.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And you know why? Because they've had earthquakes. And so there is a component to this where I say, well, yes, this makes perfect sense. There is a part where you say, much like any process, you could probably work to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You could say, where are our quote-unquote pain points, right? And work to resolve those here. But, I mean...
Well, it's kind of like the prison system, too, because what you do when you start solving some of those things is you're eliminating other things that we kind of hold dear. And property rights are fucking dear. And so, And so, people get fucking furious in this country when you eminent domain them. And so, and that's really expensive. And so,
and it doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't happen that often, not since like they built all the interstates, but even after that, every now and then there's like some kind of like critical infrastructure project that needs to happen, and so, yeah, you're going to lose a chunk of your backyard. Sorry. So here's your check. That actually happened where I lived up on Woodman there when they were widening it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this was after I sold my house. But, a couple of the guys on the other side over there, they had backyards, and they lost a chunk of their backyards. So in order to widen that thing, I was like, huh. Interesting. It's right where it kind of curves, and there's a brick wall right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it doesn't happen. It's not like, like SimCity where you just bulldoze everything.
No.
You know,
Yeah, I know.
Bulldoze a square mile to build a brand new airport.
Yeah, airport. No. It's...
Right. Yeah.
You just be so generous about the reasons people's houses got destroyed. It's like, well, actually,
I need to build a bus stop here.
it's not even a bus stop. It's
like a bench.
I want you to picture like I'm the mayor and I've actually driven out to your home because you're not responding to the letters. Like, well, Tom, can I call you Tom? It's like,
okay,
all right, Tom. So here's the thing: is most of the time, yeah, we would save this for building the Jeffalonian International Airport.
Okay,
right. Even though we have a local airport. That connects to a place just 45 miles away.
It's fine.
We're going to build an international airport next to their international airport. But that's not why I'm here.
We've already made that decision.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing is, Tom, I want to experiment with a street.
I need to figure out how to make a roundabout.
So what's
I don't feel like scrolling over to a tile that I haven't bought yet. So
now I also want you to understand, Tom, that you live in one of the last 40 single family homes.
Oh yeah.
In town, and I'm not saying that I'm forcing everyone to move to high density residential.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's more advantageous to make all of you soulless apartment dwellers.
Soulless apartment dwellers. Yeah.
Okay. I
living in the flats.
Living in the flats. I want you to get used to not having a yard.
Right.
And I want you to get used to everything that you pay not going into something that will be yours someday. Tom, can I call you Tom?
Can I call you Tom? Yeah.
So I'm going to bulldoze your house.
Right.
Without compensation. And I'm going to see, okay, if I can build this like 4-way, like scaffolding street.
Right.
That connects to a highway.
Right.
That goes overground and then underground.
Right. Yeah. And you just happen to be on the ass end of the clover leaf that I have in mind. Yeah.
No, I get it. I understand, Tom, that yours was one of the original 10 houses that was built in this city.
In the city.
Right?
But notice the name of it. It's Jeffalopolis.
Right. So what I want you to...
We don't have elections around here, Tom.
So what I'm saying is, pack up your things, because anything that's not out of here within 10 minutes is getting bulldozed.
Yeah, I'm going to go...
And that includes you, Tom.
Yeah, so I'm going to go have a smoke. When I come back down here, I'm going to hit that button. Yeah.
So what we're really doing here is giving you advice. So like photo albums and stuff, don't worry
grab
about
your
that.
pads.
That's take living things first.
Living things first.
Okay. I want to see you walking
Any
out
medications that you have.
of your... Any medications. I want to see you walking out of your front yard with like a fucking cactus or something stupid. Right? So just...
Yeah, prioritize.
Right?
Yeah, because you got 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right.
So there we go. Good luck, Tom. Thank you for your support.
See, this is... Yes, I understand that there are people that think that this is what America actually is. They like to cite this stuff, but that's... these are just things that give you a black eye. It's the kind of thing that you use so sparingly at this point. Yeah, and I understand the highway thing. Okay, that actually makes perfect sense to me. Where they say like, all right, so here's the science of it. Here's why this road has to go here.
Yeah.
Right. Totally believe it. Okay, I get it. That's okay. But for a lot of things, it's like, no, please don't buy into that thing where it's just like, well, if they see it, if they want to put a wire there, they're gonna,
No, none of that's true. It doesn't work like that. Except for like really weird, and sometimes it's people they think about it. Like up north, they're going to try and connect powers to I-25. They've almost got it, But as soon as people started realizing, oh, they're widening powers, they started buying land up there in Glen Eagle.
Yeah.
And it's like, you fucking grifters. You're like the toilet paper guys, man. So
They exist.
yeah, I know they totally exist, but then eventually they do get eminent domain. So on that one, it's like, no, we're not holding out anymore. So we sold to these other guys. You're the last one left. Here's your notice. So you have this many days to vacate. Here's how you challenge this in the court. You're still going to lose the land, but you might win more compensation.
Right.
Get out. So, yeah,
Right.
Eventually they do it. But that's extremely rare, man. So,
Well, they actually do pay you at a fair price too.
yeah, they pay you the market value of the land.
Yeah.
I think that's a law. They have to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but...
I know in other countries they do not pay you fair market
No,
price.
it's the whole thing. Like in China, it's like, oh, wait, the government actually owns all the land already?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's that's.
Oh. And it's like, and you just lease it from them? So,
Isn't there like a funny rule about it where they say like, you own your land and like 1 mile above and below it or something like that? I can't remember.
what, here?
Yeah.
I don't think it's almost impossible to actually find land where you own the mineral rights if it's like in town around here.
Okay.
Now out there, like your mom had land out there and stuff, I'm sure that might be true there. So
Yeah.
but in a place like this, I think the city is just like, nope, all the mineral rights belong to us. So in the city. So if you dig up and you find a gold bar in your backyard, it's technically not yours. Now, the guy at the pawn shop's not going to give a fuck about that. So, and what the city don't know about, they ain't going to hurt.
I'm gonna tell them.
But if you strike oil in your backyard, you're going to have a tough time, like, getting that out of your house in coffee cans.
Well, so now that I know a thing or two about oil,
Right. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It's not worth as much as you think it is.
Well, it doesn't. Okay, so it can be worth a lot.
Right.
But the bigger thing here is like, all right, you're not going to find it digging into your backyard because if it's there,
Oh, yeah.
it's a mile underneath the surface.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And you're not digging that hole.
No, yeah. You're not going to Minecraft out your backyard.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And you're not, like, once you get like half a mile under, you're not going to be like, wow, it's like evidence of an old civilization. It's like, no, this is not.
No. Yeah, Atlantis is not down there. Yeah.
It's not.
No.
It's not. I understand. Look, I can say it's fascinating because you and I both know that this entire area was underwater at one point.
Yeah, but I mean, so I was a little bit familiar with this working with the railroad. So, because they do have like protections in place for like archaeological sites and like, there's another one. It's like interesting paleontological finds
Right.
and stuff like that. And the fucking coal fields up there are full of dinosaur bones. You know where they go?
Into the crusher.
Into the crusher.
Yeah.
Right into the crusher. So, yeah. Because they're like, nope. You didn't see that. I didn't see that. It got in a crush, and it got crushinated, and now it's like part of your coal plant.
It's there are places like that. It's just life. Sometimes you do shoot a woodpecker, and like nobody saw this.
Nobody saw this. Yeah. But see, it was funny because like it was interesting because I toured one of the big ones up there, and they had like this guy is like the superintendent's office or something. He had a bunch of fucking neat fossils.
Yeah.
In there. Yeah, it's a really really cool. Like I was like, wow. So this thing's full of fossils. And I was like, yep.
Well, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, exactly.
So, you asked to say like, Patrick, what is coal?
Yeah, it used to be plant matter. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. It actually used to be oil. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of a crappy, degenerate version of it. So
what coal is?
in many ways, because if you look at it, you say like the
Yeah,
efficiency of the fuel is
but coal's
crap in comparison.
coal's just older than oil. It's the same. It comes from the same shit. So yeah, it's just older. So because peat moss is kind of in between the two, if I'm not mistaken. So
peat moss is garbage.
yeah, I know. It's extremely inefficient. Yeah. So yeah. But I mean, coal plants are dying anyway, though, man. So
Here.
yeah, which is fine, man. I mean, natural gas is so much better. So
We got tons of it.
we got shitloads of it, and it gets rid of like 90% of the shit that's wrong with coal. Even
Yeah.
the clean, like super clean Wyoming coal. It's like, it's still coal. I've slogged through fields of it. It's filthy. So,
Right. Right.
so yeah. It's like, go outside, dump a bunch of Kingsford on your
Now,
on
guys,
your deck.
that's not the
Stick your
same,
hand in.
but
Not the same, but it's pretty fucking close, man. So, in fact, that's actually cleaner than coal. So,
yeah,
yeah, because like even the Wyoming coal, it's a little greasy.
all of it is.
So, yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
greasy.
it has to be. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the trick of it. I mean, it's look. I know, again, just from experience, like the first time I saw them like burning off flares of natural gas,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, what are we doing? I was like, why isn't somebody putting like a shopping bag over that? And
Catch it with a pillowcase.
it's like you're just burning it. It's like it's not worth it to actually
Oh,
retain it.
and there's
It's
so
not.
much of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. You ever seen like there's this picture out there, like the famous North Korea at night picture?
Oh yeah.
So there, if you go and you look at anyone on Google Earth that's been snapped to the United States on a clear night, probably within the last like 5 to 10 years, there's a city that doesn't show up on the map. So, and it's right where you used to work, man. So it looks like Chicago, but it ain't no Chicago there. So tell me what it is, Jeff. What are all them lights that are showing up?
Oh, you're talking about the flare stacks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So it is that bright, man.
yeah.
So yeah, and it's like, where do all these fucking houses coming from? It's like, no, there's nobody lives there, man. It's just that's all the flares. So
That could be a couple places. I imagine like Wyoming's probably one of them.
I think the
North
one that's
Dakota's.
specific is like up North Dakota,
Yeah,
almost near the Canadian border,
yeah.
where there's such a big field there that it looks like a city. So
And there's quite a few fields still that are very rich. I mean, this is the thing. Look, we've been 2 minutes away from being completely empty so many times in human history,
oh
but
yeah,
it turns out that there's way more.
there's way more oil than people think.
Yes.
And gas, lots of gas, lots more gas. So yeah,
You know why?
because the Earth was for a very long
It's
time.
old. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
old and it was covered with a shitload of plants. And
Yes.
still is. Used to be a lot warmer. What happens when it's warmer? Do trees get bigger or smaller? You tell me. So
Oh, well, I mean, not just warmer, but also, well, there's more oxygen in the air.
oh right, yeah. So then yeah, that's when you get bugs the size of your dog. So, so
Why is that a problem? Okay, because all right, so bugs the size of your dog. Let's talk about how horrifying this is, right? So it's not just the idea of it. It's just I need you to realize like the reason that bugs can move the way that they do,
yeah,
right, is because they are lightweight
yeah,
and they are small.
yeah,
Okay. So if they get to be the size of, think about the amount of energy it takes
oh yeah,
to generate flight.
yeah,
Are you insane?
yeah. I know.
You have any idea how terrifying that is?
Yeah. Well, and think about how much that thing has to eat.
Correct.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, yeah. No, I don't know, man. So, that was one thing that actually was kind of still surprising on that trip that I took was there's still quite a bit of sustainability stuff at this conference.
Oh,
So,
yeah?
yeah, I know it's kind of like, man, you're kind of like a dinosaur now, man. So, you guys talking about this sustainability stuff, and it's like, we kind of got a lot of those problems sorted out, man. So, and I know you don't like the solution being natural gas, but it actually gets us almost all the way there.
Right.
So, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's not really bad. So, and, if you want to go see something, we'll go look at that country that's standing up a new coal plant every 2 weeks. And,
Right, because the enterprises that they set up that are supposed to be green friendly aren't enough.
no, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Right, and solar it doesn't do what we thought it would do. It does in some places, like it's really good here. So, but it doesn't do you shit in like fucking, Maine.
Right.
Portland.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then the same thing's true with some of the other stuff that they've been talking about out there. I mean, electric cars kind of, yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. I keep kind of going, I like my needle kind of bounces towards the middle on that one a little bit. So just because it's like, I don't think I'll ever buy one. If I did, it would be definitely like one of the truck versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
not the Cybertruck. So
Too ugly?
yeah, and so there's a guy over there who's a regular. He's got one. So that wasn't just a one-off at the yacht club. There's a guy who comes over to the yacht club, and he has one. And I've gotten up close looks at it. The one thing that I really don't like about it is you sit way up in it. So
I actually prefer that
yeah,
in trucks.
yeah, okay.
I get it.
I'm definitely a guy who drives like one hand with like my chair back a little bit. And so it's a little bit different. Like my mom, like the car that I learned to drive on was my mom's minivan,
Yeah.
and it was definitely like that. You were up and over the engine, so
Yeah.
kind of yeah. So I did not like that. So
No, that's fine.
it feels like that. So yeah,
That's totally fine. There's maybe that's the guy because there's a dude that owns one just like right over there.
it might be. It might be. Yeah.
Like right down
Yeah.
there. And I guess it's not illegal to polish it to a mirror sheen.
Yeah, I saw that article too. I was like, well, if it's not now, it probably will be. We're gonna call that like junior's law.
I was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Okay, so all right, you probably have the same reservations about it that I do. Where all right. I mean, if we take a look at it from like a purely environmental standpoint, you and I both know that it's sort of a wash. It's
I'm gonna be blunt with you. My reasons are purely selfish,
and that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, I do not want to. I spent a lot of money on my panel upgrade to get my fucking AC.
Yeah.
I did not opt for the double upgrade, which the guy said, well, if you want an electric vehicle, get this one. I was like, you know what, I'm good with this other one because I don't have the extra $1,500 right now for that one. So that's my whole thing is like, I don't want to pay for the panel upgrade. I'm actually maxed out on the line to my house, so I'd have to get a new line laid from the street.
Great.
And so that would be several $1,000s more.
Oh.
So yeah. So no, I'm not really interested in that,
Well, I mean, you'd have to take that. It's just a logical extension to anything that you're willing to use on a regular basis. If I were to say like, all right, so here's your guilt-free phone, so to speak. I'm like, all right, so you got to understand that here's the trade-off. It has about 45% less battery life, but right.
But I'm out.
Okay.
Sorry, man, you got me on the strike one.
Well, okay, so 2 and 3 we're going to be it functions more slowly and it costs more. So I mean,
no, man, that's swing. So batter up. So yeah, no. I mean, for like how little electricity your phone uses anyway, so that's ridiculous.
But the argument is there are X billion of us that have them.
Okay.
So in theory, if it does this, then it's actually a big reduction. If everybody were to have one, but what are you?
Yeah.
I have always made this argument, Patrick, and I'm always going to
switch everybody to a gas stove, and you triple that savings right off the bat. So your gas stove, your electric's never mind. Or here's a really good one: hang your laundry up. Okay. There you go. I can have 1,000 goddamn phones now.
Listen, okay, so again, this is the argument I'm going to make, and I'm still going to make it. I'm always going to make it. Is once you introduce a convenience like this, you cannot walk it back.
No,
it has to perform at equal or better status. To move forward.
Well, and everything is so much more efficient than it was 20. So I guarantee you that refrigerator is probably twice as efficient as the one that you had before. Same thing with your stove. Same thing with all of this. Okay. So like I don't know, like my father-in-law went over the numbers with me once. He used to do this.
Right. For fun.
For pay.
Yeah.
So, but he would actually he broke it down like how many of your appliances were so like one of the big ones that was surprising was your dishwasher. Your dishwasher uses about 1/10 of the water that it used to. So,
yeah.
And then the same thing's true with just about every electric outlet and every electric appliance in your house. Your light bulbs, like those two that you got right there, those are way more efficient than any incandescent bulb. And if you have all of them in your house, man, you just basically cut, all your lighting bill in half right at that point in time. It's crazy, man. And so, but all of it's better too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like incandescent bulbs, you used to have a fucking magazine of them laying around.
Yes.
You know, so
They burn out all the time.
they burn out all the time, and the most inconvenient times, so you're like taking a poop or something.
Well, and if you're as adverse for stupid reasons to be in a bathroom with no lights on because of boogity men,
I hate that so much. I hate that.
It freaks me the fuck out.
The power goes out when I'm in the shower. I don't care if I'm halfway through. This shower's done, man.
Now, this is coming from somebody that is a well-known skeptic, a person that says, without any kind of compunction, there are no spirits on this planet. There cannot be. There would be some evidence, but I'm still not going to hang out in the bathroom in the dark. Why? Because there's a mirror in there.
There's a mirror in there. Yeah. And the Bloody Mary might get you. So, yeah.
I'm not going to look into it.
I'm not going to look into
so
it either, man.
I'm not going to fuck around. But, yeah, so I understand that.
Man.
Well, and the thing was, the thing that they used to put on all the appliances was not a joke. Anything that said, like, Energy Star compliant.
Oh, yeah.
That was a real thing.
Yeah, it was.
Right? Because you look at it and you're like, oh, this saves me pennies. It was like, actually, no, it's kind of a
lot.
Yeah.
It saves you a lot. So that was actually one thing that I noticed when I bought my house, because I replaced all my appliances. That was my first major purchase after buying the house. Was like, we got to replace all the appliances. That was the year after we had bought it. And yes, instantaneously my electric bill went down by like half, because those are the expensive things: your washer, your dryer, your fridge, and your stove. So, you know.
What about do you have any information to give on hot water heaters?
I got a new one like 2 years ago. They're great. Mine's gas, though. You definitely want a gas one. So
well, yeah, but
they've got those ones that do it instantaneously now, where it draws it through a heated
I was gonna say,
pipe.
do any of you?
My brother has one of those. He loves it. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not cheap. So, but it doesn't have a tank.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't that much more expensive. They offered me one. But I was getting a furnace, a hot water heater, and a fucking air conditioner all at the same time.
Oh.
So I was kind of like already getting a little cost conscious, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. You know, there's only 3 of us in our house, and you know, my wife, for some reason, ever since after she had cancer, she can take a shower in like less than 5 minutes, whereas before it was like 45 minutes.
Right.
So yeah, you know, and now it's just because like she's never cold.
Look, man. Okay, so I'm not gonna. Here's the thing: is you and I, as men, we have it differently.
Yeah.
And it's just, it is what it is. But there are also times where there is, God, and I remember this just from being like in North Dakota. And sometimes those where it feels like you're actually cold to your bones. And
Oh yeah.
you hang out in there for like 30 minutes because you
Yep.
feel like you're fixing something.
You're fine. Yeah, is what you're
I
doing.
mean, yeah, you're not like freezer burned or any shit like that, or like
you know, snapping fingers off.
you're not snapping fingers off, and people aren't looking at you like, "Whoa, man!" Like Jeffrey, like you look like frost has been evaporated out of your skin and it's in the bag.
Right.
Like, yeah, I kind of feel like it too. No, it's different than that. It's just you feel like the coldness has actually like impacted not just your body, but it's in your head. It's like you feel mentally cold, and you just hang out there, and until you've like soaked up enough warmth to feel like you live in modern times. Because there's this thing where I don't know if you ever get this, but there's just this thing every now and then where I do stop and I'm like, what fucking year is it? Where it's just you feel like you're in the 1400s or some shit, right? You're like, life should not be like this. You know, sometimes where you're just like, why is there no solution to this? Why is there, if you're ever in the position where you're waiting for your car to warm up, right?
Yeah.
And like melt the front and the rear windshields, you're like, why is there no solution for this better than what happened? Right. And yeah, it's just those kind of things. You're like, what caveman time do we live in that we haven't solved this? Where
You start checking your phone.
well, because like when people started telling me like look, if you have the money for it, you can get a heated driveway that will
Yep.
melt
Melt
the
the snow.
and you're like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
But I
Here's the
have to
thing.
wait here for 15 minutes for the car to warm up.
Yeah. Yep. No, the heated driveway. The I don't know. I'm gonna splurge here a little bit. I'm thinking about. I've got a little bit of money left to do another project. I'm thinking about redoing my bathroom, and I'm thinking about actually getting the heated floor. So, which is just a mat that you put underneath and you tile on top of it. So it's pretty straightforward. But it's kind of luxe for how cheap it is. So, you know. But it's definitely like not a 14th century problem.
No, it's not. You were talking about the shit that would be absurd by our parents as standards.
Absolutely, yeah. This is why you had this thick bath mat. So yeah, you know.
Right, the thing where you're like, why are the kids always getting sick? It's
You look at that thing, you gotta peel it off the floor.
God, yeah, I know. It's just, it only comes off when you're redoing the tile. I mean, it's just been like soaking up like boy bacteria.
See, my mom was smart, so with that, and I don't know, like she didn't do everything smart, but she would replace that every time like summer came around. So
I think that's what you're supposed
yeah,
to
so
do.
like summer would come around, and you know the boys would get filthy during the entire summer, you know, and then it was school time, and it was like bang, and we have a new color. So you know,
How festive.
it was always a various shade of light to dark green or blue. So
Listen, man. So you're right. And this is just, I think a lot of this depends on who you lived with and where you grew up. Because if you go to Target and you buy one of those, it is not something you have to take a second mortgage out on. It's not that expensive.
still like $10. Yeah.
Right. But depending on who your family is and where they grew up and whether or not the communists seize their lands or anything, right?
This is still good.
It's not even just a still good. It's like, actually take care of this because this has to last 3 generations.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Did you spill something on this? Well, good. I hope your children are happy that they will not inherit this. Right? It's
Right.
it boggles the mind. You're like, would you just throw this fucking thing away?
Yeah, I know, man. There's so many things like towels. Towels are the same way. So it's like they're not that expensive, man. Now you can go over to Target and buy the fucking $90 towels if you really want to. You know what? The $15 ones are actually pretty fucking soft. They stay soft for a good 6 months to a year. And then guess what? You can go get new ones. So yeah,
I'm gonna tell you this. So
the old ones, man, they make great shop towels. You know, afterwards.
Great shop towels. Yes, I mean just
drop cloths. You know, so,
You're absolutely right. No, and I did. I bought some of the nice soft bath towels.
yeah,
Right. Totally worth it.
yeah.
Totally worth it. But you're right. It was not that expensive unless you are going into that category where, like, I'm going to try and show off how expensive my towels are.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I don't care. Look, man, my understanding, and I think I talked to you about this, is we're not the market for that.
No.
We're actually a couple of price brackets up from where you would be buying that shit, where you're trying to impress people with how expensive your crap is.
Yeah, no.
Unless you get to that other all the way at the end line where it's like
Where other people are buying your towels for you, yes.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm not there. So, yeah, no. I'm at the point where I'll pay a little extra for something if it's good and if it lasts, you know, but if it's something that's going to get replaced within the next year or two, no, man. I mean, it's like fine. It's like then it's a luxury thing. It's like, okay, you want the nice soft towels, but we're still going to replace these motherfuckers in 2 years. You know, regardless of how much we spend on them now.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And the same thing, like you probably have that same like mental discussion. Not I don't know if you actually hear words when you do this or you just start doing math, but there's just something when you look at it and you say like, so these special Oreos, right?
Right, yeah.
Am I going to get $3 worth of enjoyment out of this special Oreos?
Right.
And sometimes the answer is yes.
Yeah, but oftentimes it's not, and so you just get the normal ones.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
no,
sometimes it's
like,
yes.
Now, man, I've gotten a little bit pickier about groceries lately, so on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, You know what? It's not so much like your basics, like with the exception of meat. Milk is back to like where it normally was. Cream is fine. Cheese is fine. So veggies are fine. So I'm not noticing us spending too much more on those. But fruit, fuck. What's up with fruit, man? It's expensive. So, and the same thing's true with like any kind of like Oreos. You know, anything that you didn't make but you're gonna put in your mouth. So kind of thing.
Well, if you go in the cereal aisle, that shit's expensive.
Yeah, see, I don't buy cereal, man. So yeah.
But you make your own at home?
I don't eat cereal.
But
So
your daughter doesn't?
no.
Wow.
No, man, we're like a full blown bagel and English muffin family now.
All right,
So,
fair enough.
Yeah, but no, I when she was a little bit younger, she and I used to eat a shitload of cereal. So just because I like it, I still like it. But you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, nah. So
No, it's fine. Like, look, you're not. I'm not going to look at you and say like, "Sorry, Patrick, you're not welcome here. Only Americans are allowed in this house." No, if you don't eat cereal, it's fine.
no, I do eat cereal. I just not on the regular.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Yeah.
But if you're buying that shit, it's expensive.
Yeah, like chips. Like even just like chips or Cheetos are expensive. It's like
It's
fuck.
like $4 a bag.
I know, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, did little bags too. So
Yeah, I know. Look, prices are up.
they are.
We know that.
We know that.
We can pretend that they're not.
No, they are.
We
They
can
are.
lie.
Yeah, that's not gonna do anybody any good. So because he's just like no. So yeah, and fast food is just ridiculously expensive. It's crazy expensive.
Yeah, basically, if anybody did something for you, yeah, it's gonna be more.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, even like normie restaurants haven't gone up that much. So like we went to the Mexican place over here. It's a little bit pricier, but it's not like, oh my God, you know, but you go to McDonald's now, it's kind of like, oh my God. So,
Well, the actual dollar menu is not a dollar. Look, this is the thing.
yeah.
They said they were gonna bring it back. They said this is
but they're just going to put that like one cheeseburger on it, right? So, I don't know.
You know what? One cheeseburger for $1. All right, fine. That's
Okay.
that's food. That's
That's $1.
you're just like, all right.
3 for $1. Three's a good meal. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well, not 3 for $1. That's
No. 3 for $3. So yeah, that'd be fine.
yeah, absolutely. So, you know, they said this is one of the things that people are struggling with. I'm like, I don't know. That's not. I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that one and break down like shit. If you're in that position where one of the saddest videos I saw was there's this girl and she's just like she's in California and she's like, I'm gonna show you something pathetic, guys. So she just goes over to the gas pump. She's like,
It's like $4.80.
she's like 57 cents.
For what?
That was the amount of gas they put in.
Why?
The assumption is that's all they had to spend.
That's bullshit.
I have no idea. I don't know why you do. Look,
Why would you
stop?
even drive your car there?
I don't think it's
You're not going to be able to get out of the lot. You
I don't think it's a question of driving your car there. I think it's like I need a little bit more to get where I'm going. Now
I'm smelling
again,
TikTok shenanigans going on.
Look, I'm not going to fight you on this, right?
Yeah.
Because anything on this, unless I've actually, managed to watch the whole thing from like start to finish, obviously there's going to be some doubt on. But there is something like you said, like at $4, whatever. It's like that's all I have to spend.
Yeah, okay. You can't be driving that, man. So, yeah.
I get it, but you live here, work is here. This is all the gas that you can get. I understand.
Yeah.
All right.
I know, man, but yeah, 57 cents is all the money that you have to your name, and you're gonna put that in your car so you can get to your fucking job. So I don't buy it. So
I'm not saying I do. What
Yeah.
I'm saying here is that yes, there are people that's like, no, I can't afford to fill up the tank. That much I can say.
that might be true. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that it's very common though. But it depends. You might be anchored to a community where you can't find a job that's closer to you, or you can't find a place that's closer to your job. So, but like that's like 2008, that turned out to be true too. So it was like, all right, well, if I'm gonna stop making mortgage payments because I can't afford to put gas in my car to make it to work, what do people eventually do? They quit their fucking jobs. So,
Yeah.
yeah. you know, and so there's going to be a lot of that going on if people are really on that far the edge. But I mean, it's just still people can't fucking find people to hire. Every gas station around here's got a fucking hiring sign in it. So
No, and I what that would mean is that means that other jobs are paying better
probably,
in theory.
yeah, in theory. So yeah, in theory, but you know, a lot of it is just it's the oh, I'm sorry, man. This is it's so cliche, but there's a lot of I don't wanna out there. There really is. So
What are you talking about?
there's a lot of that, man. There's a lot of like, oh, I like my fucking COVID checks, and you know, I like my cush job that only makes me come to work like 2 days a week, and I can zoom in the other 3. And that got eliminated as soon as Google figured out what you were up to.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of articles lately about specifically about that shit that my brother does with his mouse. They're called mouse jigglers.
Yeah. I saw a really clever one the other day that this guy was using that was actually like, oh, there's a website you can go to and you can screen grab back, you know, like your background screens that actually have loading animations, so they're updating and shit. And it was like, you guys are not really getting away with anything. You know, you might get away with that once. So, you know, but it's like, if you hate your job, then don't fucking work there, man. Just shitloads of jobs out there now. Well, no, go find one that you like.
It's not. Well, the thing is, a lot of these. It's about what it's exposed, right? So if you're in a position where, yes, that your only danger, right, is that you don't want the screen to time out, right? It's not that you're not trying to do the work, right? It's that this has exposed that. I don't want to say we're overstaffed.
Oh, your company's bullshit if you're not busy for, you know, a decent chunk of the time that you're getting paid for. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So, I mean, unless you're like manning some kind of like mall kiosk or something, someone just needs to be there. Okay, that's fine. You know,
I mean, if that's the case, then we should do the Japanese thing and have like a little cop booth, you know, on every street corner. Yeah. It's like, all right, it's fine. But the thing is, it's not that people want to quit these jobs. It's that that's what's been exposed. We have this amount of work, and I understand like in my brother's situation where he was talking about like, hey, that actually doesn't matter because we have to contractually offer that we're always there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
he's on Firewatch. That's a legit job.
Yeah,
so that's an absolute legit job. So,
right.
You know, being on Firewatch, manning a kiosk somewhere, absolutely fine and stuff like that. But you know, like. Some of the other stuff that I see people kind of going through, you know, like especially tech entrepreneurs and, you know, the fucking programming world and stuff like that. You know, or if you do have a lot of free and excess downtime, eventually your company's going to get wise to that as long as they face pressures to do so. So, you know, if they're not facing downward pressure either on market share or their profits in one way or another, they're not going to find you.
No.
So, yeah.
No.
You know,
and so I guess that's why I don't blame the people that are mouse jiggling. I mean, it's just that's what we've discovered about the jobs.
I don't blame mouse jigglers either. That's fine. So, you know, and if you don't like your job, go find a new one. If you're going to tolerate it, that's fine too. So, but if you get busted on that, don't come crying to me. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, no, like the TikTok nation right now that is, you know, there's a lot of fake poverty going on. So, you know. Yeah. So, and that's the stuff that you see articles on where a guy who's like worth, you know, a fucking couple $1 million starts complaining about the price of his Carl's Jr. orders. Like, fuck off.
Yeah,
like fuck off, bro.
Fuck off. That's a fair reaction.
You know.
Yeah, that's a totally fair reaction. I'm not going to dispute that. What I will say is. This is something I've been thinking about here recently. Is there's been a lot of talk about like you know that thing where they say like this is like the first generation where they're gonna have it worse than whatever. And I do
not believe.
I seem to recall that being something that was said last time around.
I've heard that at least 3 times.
Yeah, I feel like we've heard so many variations of this. But the thing is, they always bring it back to something that, again, I don't know if it's cliche or just an idea. They talk about that thing called the American dream, right?
Yeah, sure.
And there's this part of me that goes back to this, and I say, like, well, I get it, okay, but I don't ever recall that being known as the American entitlement. It's when you say dream.
Oh no,
this is the thing that people strive for. This is
what you work for.
Right.
Yeah, you don't just get it.
And I think that's sort of the screwed up part here. Is a lot of people are seeing this as like the 40 acres and a mule thing, where it's like, you get this.
After you stab a whole bunch of Indians and sign on the paper, yeah, sure.
There was that.
Yeah. So,
hey, look. Honest day's pay for an honest day's work. Man.
Yeah, that's... you got to build your own sod hut with your own 2 fucking hands.
This is right. Yeah. This
they don't wheel one off the back of a truck and plop it down and say, "Here you go, Tom." You know,
right?
This one's yours.
Right. You know? Right. And I think that's something that I was. They kept framing it that way and saying like the American dream is out of reach. I'm like, wait a minute.
Absolutely not, man. I mean, so I've seen a few people struggle with this. Like I've got, I don't know, my brother and sister-in-law have stepchildren who are going through this right now.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to get married, they're trying to get a house, and they're trying to do all this stuff, blah, 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 and stuff like that. And they're like 21. And it's like, wow. Yeah, that's pretty young, man. I mean, you know, so like, well, we're just be wasting your money on apartments. Like, not if a house bankrupts you. So, you know, there's that. Yeah. So it's like, why don't you take a couple of years practice playing house and then go get a house, you know, and, you know, see what happens. Like, everybody's like, oh, it's a terrible time to buy. There's no such thing as a good time to buy. You buy when you're ready to buy. Okay, so and that's a you thing. Your first house, when you buy it, it's got to be, you got to be secure, you got to be safe, or you got to be really lucky. So, you know, in one of those situations. And so, like my first house, I happened to buy it when they were passing them out like fucking candy. So, you know, and it appreciated quite a bit. I sold it before the crash. I got lucky, you know. So, but then like the next house that I bought, it was like, actually, rates kind of suck. So it's gonna take a little while to save up money. So okay, let's do that. So, you know, and then it's just like, okay, eventually it comes together. And that wasn't until I was in my like early 30s. So, you know, and so I was like, okay. But at the same point in time, there's only so much, you know, that you can afford. You can, you got to shoot for what you can afford, you know. And a lot of times people look at like, you know, this nice $550,000 house, big yard, a dog run, fucking marble countertops, a 3-car garage, you know, and stuff like that. It's like, that's for old men, okay? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're also forgetting the crucial part of this.
Right.
Is they see that, they also say, oh, and it's in San Jose.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, no, man, you can't see. And like, ever since we talked about this on the podcast a while ago, I keep using that pick two system.
You know what?
Dude, that's fucking genius. We need to start minting that shit.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, you get to pick 2 things. You get to pick, you know, out 3, how much you make, what do you do for a living, or where do you do it? You get to pick one, you pick 2. Okay. Because, you know, like if you want to make a lot of money and you want to be an actress, you need to move overseas. You can do it. Well, you know? So, or you need to go to like fucking like vaudeville. Okay. You go do performances up in Black Hawk or something, whatever. So, you know, but if you want to do that and if you want to live in LA, you're going to make jack shit. So, especially in the beginning, okay? In fact, you're probably going to make 0. So, which means that you're not going to spend 0, which means you're actually going to be negative. And that is unsustainable. Eventually something will break. So, you know, in a situation like that. And so, same thing. You know, people say, oh, I want to live in a big city and I want to be, you know, software developer. It's like, great, okay, you can do that, all right, but do you want to make a lot of money doing that? Then you got to be picky about which city you're going to go to. So, you know, and the city will pick you, not the other way around. So you'll have to go where the job is. So if that means that you're going to Houston, Texas, it qualifies as a big city.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was this not the big city that you wanted it to?
Yeah, you wanted something with a little bit more 5/1 action. You know, so.
Well, on top of that too, it's like people like to throw in like the 4th piece of the pick too is like, and I don't want to work more than 36 hours a week.
That's not even in the pick system.
And this is the thing, and this is I mentioned this to Marita. She was just like, well, why can't you get all three? I was like, exactly what you're saying. I was like, all right, so I just want you to think about the statistical unlikelihood of having all three. So I want you to picture this like, okay, so you're working at the chocolate factory, and it pays a lot, and you live next door.
Wow. Yeah.
Why are you the only person qualified to have this job?
Yeah,
I would feel like everybody would be fighting you for that job because there's 6 of them.
Yeah. So, and one of those is going to be 6'5", tall, dark, and handsome. So, statistically speaking, so, or hot and blonde. So, yeah, no, sorry, man. No, what I tell my students when they say that, I was like, well, why can't I have all 3? Because I've gotten that question before. I was like, well, because you have to have something that you can work for. So that's what you work towards. So, and if you pick 2 right off the bat, those are 2 things that you're going to have to live with for a little while. Okay. So, that way you'll settle in, you'll like, and I tell all my students, I give them permission. I was like, okay, 6 months on your first job, I give you permission to quit. Okay.
Yeah.
But you got to give me 6 months. All right. Because you need to soak it in a little bit. You need to think about what's working, what's not working, what you like about this industry, what you don't like about this industry. And then you can start working towards that third choice. But if you quit and you move, you're taking one of those choices back, and you're going to have to rethink about that. And so you need your third one. So, and your third one has to be open. Because you have no idea whether or not that's actually what you want. So people say, well, I want this, this, and this. And then fucking A, man, I've seen a couple of people get that. They got X, Y, they got 1, 2, and 3 right off the bat. It's not common, but I've seen it happen. 6 months later, they're fucking miserable. So, because it's like, oh, you don't like finance now? No, well, what are you going to go do now? So, you're going to have to re-roll the dice on those. And now you might have an apartment, you're in a lease, you can't pick where you live. Okay. And so that also automatically picked how much you can make. All right. And so guess what? Since those 2 are already picked for you, now you no longer get to choose what you get to do. All right. And so it's off to sales with you, buddy. I don't want to sell stuff. It's like, well, too bad. So either that or that apartment's going to eat you alive,
I mean, that's the thing is we've all done it.
We've all done it.
We've all done it.
Everybody does it.
And that's the thing that kind of gets me on this. It's not just everything that you've mentioned is completely true. And it's just the other like string of like TikTok videos that's coming out that like, I don't know why you'd release this. I don't know why. And maybe, actually, I know what you're doing. I mean, I know that you're attention fishing, and I know you want people to come out there and console you. But, I mean, those videos of, like, the girls, they're sitting in their car, and they're crying, and they're, like, they're breaking down the, like, so this is how much I spent to do this, and this is how much I spent, and I can't find a job, doing, and the funny thing is, I'm just taking a step back, and I'm thinking about everybody that I knew that went to school, and I was like, nobody that graduated in their field actually got a job in that field for months.
If not years.
Right?
Long time.
I mean, I will say that
Rob did, didn't he?
No.
I thought he went right into pharmaceuticals.
No. That dude went right back into tiling floors.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I know Amy struggled for a long time. Wasn't she a server for years?
No.
Oh, I thought she was.
No, she wasn't doing that. I know that they were doing like she was doing retail.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
She was doing retail. It was close.
Yeah.
But he went so much to the point he was like getting discouraged. But yeah, it was like a year. Yeah. If not more. I guess
Nate went to the army.
Well, he went in the army first.
Oh, okay. And then he got his teaching. So then he did go into teaching pretty quick.
No.
I thought he got hired at the same time you did.
No. Okay. These are no. So he was working at his dad's shop for.
Okay.
He was. I mean, that was the thing. He was like when he was out there looking for it, he was sweeping up dad's shop.
Yeah, I know it took Craig forever.
Took a lot of it. I guess I was the exception because
it took Mike years. So
I was the exception because when I went back and finished my degree, right, I had a unique opportunity come up where like, hey,
oh yeah,
we need a guy here at this school right next to where you live.
right.
Right?
And we need you for a year. Yeah.
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 So that's kind of rare.
That was kind of rare.
And at the same time, too, it was also exactly what I was looking for. But you know what? That's life where you're like, I don't know. This thing that we do, this is if anything that I can say that we do incorrectly, right, is, and this is not just an American thing, this is a worldwide phenomenon, is like we have to stop with this whole thing of like, okay, well, son, you have now turned 14. It's like, yes. It's like, so you're dumb. It's like, yes, because you're 14. Okay. I want you to make the most important career decision right now.
Right, yeah, I know. You can't do that. I'm resolved not to do that with my daughter. So because the most successful students that I've seen are ones who are still figuring out by the time they get to about their senior year. So, and yeah.
It's ridiculous. And the fact that you have that fight with your parents where it's like, what do you mean you're changing your major? It's like, well,
Yeah.
I don't want to. It turns out I don't want to be a computer engineer.
Yeah.
It's like, you brought disgrace to this family.
Did your parents give you shit?
To Will, yeah.
Oh, to Will? Okay. Yeah.
To me, well, I didn't change my major. I just took forever to fucking do it.
Oh, you were an English major the entire time?
From start to finish.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
See, I was an arts guy first, and I quit that.
I was going to go to art school in Florida.
Oh,
but
right.
I was like, nah, I got to stick around because of my girlfriend. The other stupid decisions you never make. Like, why don't you say, like, oh, hey, Jeff? It's like, what decisions would you mulligan on?
I've thought about that many times, and like, I would not take any of them back now.
I get it.
So
I get it. But that I can also say that is it's not a hindsight thing. It's something that I didn't understand about relationships at that time.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Right, and that's something that maybe if I'd had more experience to be kind of like,
yeah.
It's like, even under the best of circumstances, I wouldn't have been happy. I was like, okay, got it. So, cool. But that's how that worked out. I don't regret it now because it's like, all right, well, it went where it went, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just stuff that I really hope at some point they start breaking it down and saying like, well, statistically, son, you're not gonna like whatever it is that you go into first.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, everybody's gonna have a shitty job. So I mean, rare is the person who starts on day one and just loves their job from all the way through until retirement. So I mean, they do exist. I've seen a couple of them here and there.
Sure.
They're usually in like not things that you normally. They're like I've known cops that were like that. I've known military guys who are like that.
Sure.
I've known teachers who are like that.
Sure.
I've never met an insurance salesman who was like that.
Dude,
So
not an insurance salesman. I've never seen a person that's kind of like, I want to be a realtor.
right. But I know a lot of realtors who love their fucking gig. So
They
yeah,
do.
but I've never met somebody who was like, 14 who was like, I'm gonna be a realtor. Let me get my suit ready.
With one rare exception of somebody that I knew that was the child of a realtor.
Okay.
And they were like, well, actually, no, I'm going to get in on like mom's business.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you know what? That's fine. That's the same people where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go work at my dad's auto body shop.
I've heard that.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The one that you don't want to hear is like, I'm going to work at my dad's restaurant.
I don't want to work in my dad's restaurant. Yeah. I had one kid who walked away from a family farm. So
See, that's a tough
he was
one.
like, it was like really valuable farm down in Rocky Ford and stuff like that. And he was like, I've been doing this since I was 5.
Yeah.
So, and it was like, my dad fully expects me to take over the farm, do all this work and stuff like that. He's like, if I never see another fucking cow again in the rest of my life, I won't regret it. So, and he's like, Pat, I'm literally walking away from millions of dollars of real estate.
Yeah.
So, and my dad is furious. He's going to cut me out of the will. And I was like, that is a shitty thing to put on someone your age. So, look, man, I'm not going to tell you what to do in a situation like this. I'm not going to tell you what I would do in a situation like this because I don't have the same weight and gravity behind it that you do.
Yeah.
So, I don't have the buy-in here that you do. But whatever you decide to do, man, I'll stand by you. So, and he did. He walked away and went on to go do his engineering thing, and he builds superhighways in Texas now. So
That's fantastic.
yeah, I mean, there was like no question that he was going to be successful. So because he had that work ethic behind it, but still, it was like exactly what you're saying with like, well, my dad decided what I'm going to do when I'm 14. So, and it's like, no, man, you can't do that.
And they never just break it down and say like, son, you're going to do this, but they do gaslight you into making you think that you want to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the hard part.
That is, yeah. I've seen people do that with restaurants, man. So
course,
this has been in the family. We've got your abuela's, recipes here.
Yeah.
It's like, you are fucking slave labor and you're 28.
Son of a
What are you doing? It's like, does your dad have a pacemaker or something? Can you get close? So
and just the thing, and the side of that too is like, oh my God, and you got me, and now you've committed my children.
Oh, I know. Yeah, exactly.
To this.
So.
And again, food is food. All right, I'm not going to fight on this because, number one, there are people that love it. Yeah. There are people that that exact situation that you gave them, they love that. They love that they were part of a family thing. They
Oh, I know people who would kill for an opportunity like that. Yeah,
I got you.
It's just that wasn't in your cards, man. On the RNG character generator when we started this thing up, you didn't draw a Mexican restaurant family owning dad.
Yeah, I agree. It's super tough, but yeah, I really hope that changes something. I hope that's something that we look at and say like, what is because my problem with this, and always been my problem with this since I figured out what it was, is the first time, like again with that first job or whatever, it's like I don't like this.
Yeah.
And especially if it's something tied to your family, right? It's first you feel like a failure, right?
Right.
Then you feel like a failure to your family.
You feel like a disappointment. Yeah.
Right. And these are all things that you compound that were never your fault to begin with.
Right.
Right. And feeling bad about it actually makes you feel worse about it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
When it should be something that you say like, hey, I thought I'd like this. Right?
It's very hard to come to grips with that. So I went through that when I started teaching. So that's 2 years that I did junior high subbing.
Yeah.
I hated it, man. And every time I got like a gig, there was only like one gig that I did in that entire 2 years that was actually kind of enjoyable. And that's just because I got to know the kids a little bit.
Yeah.
Because someone was on maternity leave. But once I got thrown back into the fucking wash machine, so on that, every single day was a fucking struggle, man. And it's just like, I'm not going to be able to do this. So, for too much longer. So, because it's just like, no matter how much I wanted to make myself like it, I couldn't do it, man. And it was just like, I want to punch these children, all of them. So.
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get it. And I'm not going to sit there and badmouth anybody that takes their career like very seriously.
Sure.
I won't, right? No. That's your prerogative, whatever it is that you derive that from. But I mean, there are just things that, look, it happens. You go to the freezer aisle, you're like, wow, this looks like it would have everything I like. But fuck if this burrito just doesn't work.
Right.
It just doesn't work.
Too many fucking gun shots in it.
I don't know how to explain it, right? On paper, right?
It looks perfect. Yeah.
And it even looks like the picture on the box. It's just not clicking.
Well, and there's another big random variable about that, too, that most people don't realize is that, about like half of whether or not you're going to like your job is the people that you work with.
You're absolutely
and that is,
right.
I mean, you can nail all three of the pick three system and then work with a guy who's a complete raging asshole who just makes every single day of your life miserable. He's going to ruin that for you way faster than anything else. So,
hey, yeah, check this out. Okay, so I was talking about this with the rehab vets, right? Mm-hmm. And I was talking about I don't remember how this came up. This goes back to your and my grand dick in the ass theory of well, I did it, so you will do it.
Yeah, so you'll do it the way
because
that I
this
did it.
Yes, because
and it's a real prison kind of flavor to it. Whole episode, man. So,
yeah, this
I'm busting out of here.
this is like the prison sex rules on this. But I was talking about, I was like, my understanding, because we were talking about people, especially like in the medical field and the doctor's field,
for the worst.
And I was like, my understanding is the way that it used to be is that when you basically got into that first position, they were going to ride your ass, right? Because their ass was ridden, and it's their version of saying like, oh, well, if you can't take it, you can't.
Yeah, a lot of that still exists.
Well, and this is what she said. She's like, this is, we're actually like kind of friends with this. She's like, well, this is the thing. She's like, so I was in that transitory period, right? Where people were still doing that, but they were also trying to get away from it.
Yeah.
She's like, so the first bitch that I had, right? She's like, it was like on call and like, I'm going to put you through hell.
This was as a vet clinic?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm going to ride your ass, and I'm going to make sure that you get all the bad on calls and make you feel like you want to quit.
I am going to quit this. Yes.
Right. And then she's just like, then I got a new one. I was like, yeah. I was like, then that was a nice one. I was like, yeah. She's like,
oh.
So I married him.
I'll fix this, but good.
I'm like, I get it. And you know, the other one, she's like, it's the same thing. And I know that like firefighters notoriously, they try to get you to quit that first week. They try to
they do.
Goes.
It depends though on the department, man.
Yeah.
So they'll. I mean, some of it's just. That's a very masculine work environment, so they're going to razz you. So, you know.
Well, it's not just the razzing. They do have a point where it's like, look, I need you to be comfortable with, you're going to show up in an accident and a kid's going to be dead.
Yeah. No, I mean, by the time they get actually on the department, they've already seen that. So,
right.
Yeah, so, because I had a buddy who went through that. He quit on the first day. So
there you go. Yeah.
Well, he just looked around and he's like, I'm too old for this. So, yeah, but, you know, there's other things about that were kind of like, you know, it's designed to kind of freak you out a little bit, and then if you stick around, then you kind of form ranks around you, you know. But some things are like that. But like the medical field, like I taught in a nursing program for like 4 years.
Oh yeah.
It was like the worst, man, in terms of that.
It's so much old shit.
It was just absolutely. It was like, my God, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to train these people, and you treat them like absolute garbage, man. So, and it's like,
well,
you know,
well, the patients are going to treat you like this.
It's like, shut the fuck up and quit, you know? Well, so, yeah, you know, or get off that. Well, and okay, so the medical field, I've made some observations about this.
All right.
So the thing that makes it different is full of smart people, okay?
Yes.
And how do smart people assert dominance over each other?
Prison sex.
No. So, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, think about it. You know, like, think Science Olympiad, okay? So, you know, you go into this, like, mode about, like, well, you don't have, like, all these battle ribbons that I do that say I'm smarter than you.
Right.
I've got, you know, like, 1,000 fucking acronyms, like, listed behind my name. And things like that.
What do they call that crap that the officers wear?
Yeah, they got ribbons.
They call it the fruit salad or something?
The fruit salad. So, yeah, it's like, check out my salad bar, you know, kind of thing. And it's kind of like... And that's what happens is because, you know, it's just, it's one where... And then, so that's one thing, is it's full of smart people, and when you get too many smart people in the room, they fight. So almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
So, and then the second thing about it is that you've got like a profession that's got a real bona fide and clear mission behind it.
Right.
Okay. And so you can always retreat to, well, it's about the patients, you know? And so you do get this, like, you can't do that when you're selling like fucking car insurance. You're like, it's all about like protecting people and, you know, the situations.
Bro, man, but you can do it as a teacher. It's all about the kids.
Dude, they're the worst.
Oh man, did I
hear the worst? They are worse than fucking Navy SEALs, man. So yeah.
I didn't say the wrong thing to you, man.
They are the fucking worst, man.
I got stories.
Oh man, you want me to start pulling out my ribbons? I got this one here, this one there. So I got two of these. See, this one's got oak leaves on it. You know.
I did 2 tours at the 11. Collected hazard pay over there. And
I know.
Well, okay, so
that's what's wrong with the medical field. It's got it's got smart people. Okay, so 3 things in this one. Number 1, it's got smart people. Number 2, it's got a real mission. Number 3, there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
So, it's like the worst of the worst fields. So, because teaching, okay, everybody can do the dick measuring thing by how much you care about the students, but nobody gives a fuck about your paycheck. So,
everybody has, well, I don't do this for the money. It's like,
exactly.
yeah, me neither.
Me neither.
It's like, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's why
I can go to the box. Okay, okay, so, yeah.
That's why I use baking soda as toothpaste.
Listen, no, it's not. You married someone rich. Fuck off.
Right, yeah.
Actually, you know what? You didn't even marry someone rich. You're rich from the start.
Yeah, you got a trust fund behind you.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
No, it's again, these people exist. That's fine. And a lot of these people are super bright. They're very good at what they do.
What, teaching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to fuck with that. But
there's a special level of dumbassery that goes on in teaching, though. So there really is. So and I mean, not like book smart stupid, because most teachers are not that way. But there's some people who just like where did you grow up? In a cabin in the woods somewhere, in the middle of nowhere. So it's just like I see some real problems with people skills in teaching, which is kind of like I see people who have a lot of daddy issues. So it's really about discipline and like just being the boss. And having 25 like fifth graders to pick on. I've seen that.
Of course. Well, if I were going to sit there and say like what psychoses does it lend itself to? All right, that's the paper I could write, and I could say like, all right,
narcissism too. I suffer from that a little bit as a teacher. Well, so I think everybody does a little bit. Yeah.
Well, a little bit, because what are you doing? You're going in a room of people that and look, how can you tell? Because there are teachers out there who the world fucking ends if they get proven wrong about something.
Oh yeah, okay, yep, right? You're right. You're totally right about that.
And that's something. Yeah, for a while I was like, why does this matter to me? And it was like, does this freak me out because like a kid proved me wrong? I was like, who the fuck cares? It was like, there were times it's just if you're a bitch about it. If you're a bitch about it, that's when it matters.
That's when it matters.
Yeah, because the rest of the time it's like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's. And yeah, there's a little bit of it where you look at the people who are like successful, like effortlessly successful, and you're like, oh yeah, because you have a little bit of that. If you're gonna be dumb, you got to be tough thing going on, where it's like, you don't care.
Sure. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It just washes off you because you're not gonna pay it any mind.
Yep.
You're awesome at this.
Yep.
Right. Whereas in the other way, you're like, well, I couldn't do that because I have to overthink every single thing that was said 100 times, analyze it, make a spreadsheet, and figure out I was the asshole all along.
Yeah, teaching kind of cured me of that. So
you get to that point.
You fuck up enough, you kind of realize it's like, I'm still alive, I'm still here. So, people still sign up for my shit, so whatever.
It's not just I'm still alive, it's you come down to it and say like, look, we look at batting averages for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I have flubbed lessons so hard.
Oh yeah, me too.
Just like, what's your phrase? None of that worked.
None of that worked. Yeah.
Like if I had the authority to just like excuse you guys like 15 minutes in, I'd be like, I gotta rethink this, guys.
Yeah. Fortunately, I've had the authority to do that, and there have been a couple times where it's like and I've done it on things that I've taught like a dozen times before too, where you get into it, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm totally backwards. Oh, fuck. So it's like, that's next week's concept. I don't know. I wasn't thinking straight today. Guess what? We're out of here. So,
yeah, well, it's that, or sometimes it's something that you've been doing a bunch of times, but you think the wrong things about it worked.
Oh,
and then you come to it, it's like, oh, well, that's not what's working about this lesson. That's why you guys look like so bored. But other people dug on this angle.
Okay. Oh, got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
my bad.
So, guys, go home. I'm going to go back to formula. We're going to try this again.
Go back to formula. I like that.
It would be great. But, fuck that. And just the whole thing of yep, well, I got through it this way. I'm a genius. Ergo, you're going to go through it this way.
I try not to do that so much. I've gotten better about scrubbing that out. And I have a bad habit. I will suck all the oxygen out of a room. So, I really will. I'm very good at that. So you get me rolling on some kind of lecture or something like that. hold that thought, questions at the end, and then we never get there. So, kind of thing. But
Right.
yeah, I've gotten better over the years about that.
Patrick, I watched a video just recently about land vehicles of World War II
Oh my God.
with the highest K to D ratio.
Yeah.
I did not like the results.
Highest K to D ratio?
Yeah. Tell me what you think would be on that list. Land vehicles
Land vehicles
with
of
the
World War
highest
II.
K to D.
Probably there's a Soviet tank called the KV-1.
Mm-mm.
No.
No,
Land vehicles. Oh man, please don't tell me they're Nazis.
they're all German.
Oh, that sucks.
And that's the thing that I had a problem with.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Because who did they get to shoot at?
Us.
And
Russians.
okay, that was part of it. Was they got a lot of K to Ds off of like Russian stuff.
Well, and us stuff too.
Yeah, well, our stuff was fine,
Yeah.
but it turns out that a lot of like Soviet stuff got whooped. They just had a lot of it.
They had a lot of it. Yeah.
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 So I was sort of disappointed with the presentation, and I feel like that's something. If I asked you that question in one of your classes, you could disappear into that for about.
Everybody else would be asleep except for you and me in about 3 seconds. There'd be a lot of people looking at their phones and doing that, oh shit, I gotta go thing. Yeah. So it's okay, that's okay. We're gonna just leave the door open, So just put the door stop in there.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Jeff, let's talk about the KV-2.
Did they have some kind of weighted system on this jumper?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
are we breaking this down by year?
Because this is basically like smurfing, dude. This is like you created a new account to go after newbies.
Right. Yeah. So the matchmaking was very bad towards the end of the war.
Well, because that was the other thing when they talked about the. That's what it's called. Imagine how little I care about that at this point. Like,
oh, yeah.
Remember at a time when that would have mattered? Hey, Pat, we should actually just make new accounts so that we go right into it and go after the new guys again.
Yeah. Well, it would be a hard reset on my K to D as long as I can keep up the ratio for a little bit, because eventually we did get to the point in time where we're like 600,000 kills in,
Yeah.
and so you had to play for weeks to get it to tip over. Just like a 10th.
Oh, dude! If you got it to move from like 1.7 to 1.8, I'm like having a cupcake with a candle.
I know. We gotta log off right now. Yeah.
All right, man.
That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Let's dismiss the class.
Okay.
I'm Pat.
Yeah, I'm Jeffrey.
Class dismissed. Get out of here.